At the summer reunion, 30 relatives filled the garden. Christine stood, a sealed white envelope in her hand.
Before we cut the cake, I have something for Mom and Dad. An anniversary gift.
Every relative turned. Her parents smiled uncertainly. The envelope was a weapon hidden in plain sight. 30 years ago, at 4, Christine was told she was adopted. Her mother knelt and spoke with finality. "You are not our real daughter. You are adopted." Christine didn't understand, but she learned. That story followed her through every celebration, every slight. At 34, she was no longer the quiet girl. She held the truth in her hands.
I've carried this for a long time. It's finally ready.
A nervous murmur rippled through the tables. Only Christine knew what was coming.
They have no idea that everything they built is about to shatter.
But that moment at the reunion began decades earlier, in a house where love came with a label. Every birthday, Brandon unwrapped new consoles. Christine got a card. "Remember, you're lucky to be here."
She's adopted, so we keep expectations low. Her birth mother was unstable.
Christine heard it from the hallway. She knew the role she was meant to play. At 16, Brandon received a Mustang. Christine got a bus pass and a nod. At his college graduation, her parents held Brandon like a trophy. Christine wasn't in the photo.
I learned not to ask for more. The word adopted made everything make sense.
By 34, she had a corner office and a life that looked successful from the outside.
But at night, I still felt like the girl in the hallway, waiting to be included.
Then the company announced an optional genetic health screening. She clicked participate without hesitation. The email subject line was innocuous. "Your health screening results are ready." She clicked. First, the standard markers, thyroid, metabolic, all normal. Then the family section.
That can't be right. Dennis and Carolyn are listed as my biological parents.
She refreshed the page. The data didn't change. Adopted? Not according to her DNA. She remembered the ancestry kit she and Brandon sent in years ago. She still had the login. She pulled up Brandon's profile and hers. The site compared them automatically. Full sibling match. But the paternal haplogroup was flagged. Brandon did not match Dennis.
So Brandon isn't Dennis's son, but I am. This whole adoption story was a cover.
She stared at the screen, the pieces of a 30-year lie falling into place.
Who is Brandon's real father? And why did they sacrifice me?
Christine couldn't act on a workplace screening alone. She needed incontrovertible proof.
Brandon never locks up when I drop by. I'll get what I need from his bathroom.
She visited his apartment under the guise of lunch. When he stepped out, she took a single hair from his brush. She sealed it in an evidence bag and mailed it to a clinical lab with the request for a paternity trio. 2 weeks later, a thick envelope arrived at her apartment. The lab's report was inside. She read the conclusions. Alleged father Dennis is excluded as the biological father of Brandon, 0% probability.
Now I need to identify the real father. Brandon's DNA profile can search public databases.
Within hours, the system matched a close male relative, Robert, a longtime family friend always in the background.
Robert. He has been at every holiday, every barbecue. I never questioned why he always watched us.
In a dusty album, a snapshot from 1990, Carolyn and Robert, his arm around her head tilted toward him. The affair was right there. Christine didn't call her parents. She didn't tell Brandon. She got in her car and drove through the city dark.
Confront them privately? No. They broadcasted my adoption to everyone. The truth needs a stage.
The annual family reunion was 42 days away. 30 relatives. The perfect gallery for what she now carried. She booked a session with her therapist, the one who had helped her unpack a lifetime of being the outsider.
I'm not here to be talked out of it. I'm here to make sure I can live with myself after.
Then she chose the envelope. Thick, cream, with a razor-sharp flap. It felt like a weapon in her hand.
When Dennis opens this, his world will shrink to a single line of ink.
At home, she drafted her speech in front of the mirror. Every word measured. No anger, just fact.
I will not scream. I will not cry. I will hand them the papers and watch them read their own lie. 6 weeks. Then the outsider becomes the only one telling the truth.
Christine sat on her couch, flipping through a photo album she had kept from childhood. The images suddenly stabbed differently. She landed on the college acceptance letter photo. Her parents had framed it for Brandon. They had told her, "There's no money for you."
No money for me, but 4 years later, Brandon's MBA was fully funded.
At Brandon's wedding, Dennis handed him a check for the down payment of a house. Christine got a handwritten card.
He's our real son, after all. You understand, right?
Every gift he got was a brick in the wall they built around me.
When they discussed their will, Carolyn had told her, "You understand, the estate goes to family."
They made my erasure sound like a blessing.
She closed the album with a thud. The photos were no longer memories. They were evidence.
I wasn't the outsider. I was the first one they erased.
She sat at her kitchen table and wrote. The first draft was a scream. She tore it into pieces. The second draft was cold. She rewrote the opener 12 times until it felt like a scalpel.
I need to deliver it without rage. The facts will be sharp enough.
She stood in front of her bedroom mirror and rehearsed the lines to her own reflection.
Mom, Dad, I have something to share with the family. An anniversary gift of sorts.
She practiced the physical act, extending the envelope, holding it steady. The night before the reunion, she packed the envelope into her leather bag, next to her car keys.
This envelope will weigh more than paper, but my hands will not tremble.
She zipped the bag and stood, staring at it. 30 years had led to this zipper.
I've prepared every word. Tomorrow, the truth walks in.
3 days before the reunion, Christine's phone buzzed. Carolyn. She answered with a practiced calm.
We need to discuss the estate update. Naturally, Brandon inherits the house. You understand, given the circumstances.
Of course, Mom. I wouldn't expect anything less. The circumstances you invented, Mother. But soon everyone will know what they really are.
The next day, she visited Brandon to see his new house. He beamed, giving her a tour. Can you believe it? A real home. I owe it all to Mom and Dad. They've been so good to us.
He doesn't know he's standing on a lie, and I'm about to pull the floor out. You deserve it, Brandon. You really do.
He hugged her, oblivious. She drove home with the weight of the secret pressing against her ribs.
2 more days. I don't know if I'm protecting him or destroying him. But the truth doesn't negotiate.
The night before the reunion, Christine couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., she sat at the kitchen table, the envelope in front of her.
I could just mail this and vanish. No confrontation. No public wreckage.
She slid the DNA report from the envelope and read the conclusions again as if the words might have changed.
No. Every line confirms what they did. Walking away would be another erasure.
She stood in the bathroom and faced her reflection. The woman staring back wasn't the adopted girl anymore.
You are not the outsider. You never were. Tomorrow they'll see it.
She returned to the kitchen and held the envelope up to the light. It was just paper, but it weighed like a gavel.
I am not their secret. I am the proof that their story was a cage.
She kissed the flap once, then sealed it into her leather bag for the morning.
No turning back. Tomorrow, the truth becomes the only gift I ever owed them.
The garden hummed with laughter. 30 relatives, and not one knew what walked in with her.
I could still leave. Let them have their perfect reunion.
Robert flipped burgers like he belonged. Dennis and Carolyn smiled, the portrait of a family she was never allowed into.
Brandon would lose his dad. He'd be collateral damage in a war he didn't start.
She watched Brandon laugh with a cousin, felt the envelope pressing through her bag like a second heartbeat. A cousin's voice cut through. Christine still single? Adoption runs off the men. Brandon stiffened. She's my sister. Say that again, and we'll have a problem. The cousin fell silent. Christine's heart cracked. The beneficiary of the lie was defending the one they cast out.
He's innocent, but his innocence was built on my erasure. The only way to free us both is to tear the foundation.
She found her spot near the head table and waited for the moment to stand. Dessert arrived, but Christine didn't eat. Carolyn stood at the head table, lifting a glass of champagne.
To family. Real family, who share blood, loyalty, and a lifetime of memories. We are so blessed.
Blood. She never meant to include me, but she doesn't know what my tests proved.
Dennis stood next, clearing his throat. He spoke of legacy, of passing down more than property, but belonging.
Belonging. I've never belonged here, and they made sure of it with paper and whispers.
I want to thank my parents for always being there, and to my sister, Christine, you're one of the good ones. Christine's chest tightened. His gratitude was a blade because it was real and she was about to break his world. Her hand slipped into her bag, fingers brushing the envelope's edge. The toasts were winding down. The last glass clinked. People settled into their chairs, full and content. The lull arrived.
Now? I've waited my whole life for this. Time to stand.
She pushed back her chair and stood. The scrape of wood on stone cut through every conversation.
Mom, Dad, before the evening ends, I have a gift. An anniversary gift.
Carolyn's hand froze halfway to her wine glass. Dennis set down his fork with careful precision.
They think it's a photo album. They have no idea what they're about to hold.
She stepped to the head of the table, her hand sliding into her leather bag.
I've carried this for you longer than you know. Now it's your turn.
The envelope emerged. Thick cream stalk, its seal unbroken. A collective breath caught. The garden went silent. Brandon leaned forward, confusion flickering across his face. Christine held the envelope out toward Dennis. Her hand was steady, her pulse absent. The truth was sealed in her palm, and the next breath would break it open. Dennis took the envelope, tore the seal with his thumb, and pulled out the printed reports. He scanned the first page, his smile evaporating. The words "biological relationship confirmed" stared back.
Read it. Let every line shatter the man you thought you were.
Carolyn ripped the papers from his hand before he could speak, her eyes darting over the text.
This can't be right. You're lying.
It's a DNA paternity report. After a workplace health screening, I commissioned a confirmatory test from a clinical lab. According to this, I am biologically yours, both of yours. I was never adopted. The adoption was a cover story.
Dennis's gaze moved from the report to Christine, then to Carolyn, a terrible question forming.
The second page names Brandon's biological father. It isn't Dennis.
Dennis's hand fell to the table. The sound was the collapse of a 30-year structure. Christine's voice remained level as she continued, laying out the logic behind the decades-long lie.
By labeling me adopted, you made Brandon the golden child. Every gift, every privilege, it was bought with my erasure.
She turned to Carolyn, whose face had drained of color, hands clutching the report like a shield.
Is that true? Did you fabricate her adoption to cover an affair, to hide who his father really is?
I don't know what you're talking about. This is absurd.
Her stammer was louder than a confession. Brandon, frozen mid-bite, looked from his mother to Christine. Robert, seated near the back, set down his fork. Sweat beaded on his temple. No one noticed him yet.
The truth is in the papers. I'm not the outsider. I never was. You just needed a lie to protect him.
Dennis's jaw worked silently. Then he slammed his palm flat on the table. Who is it, Carolyn? The question hung in the garden air, unanswered. Robert's knees pushed against the table, retreating. Christine's gaze moved to the back. Every head turned. Robert sat frozen, a deer and 30 headlights.
You asked who, Dad? He's right there. The man at every barbecue since I can remember.
Robert's face went ash. His hand shook against the table. The word affair crystallized in every mind. Dennis pushed his chair back, legs screeching. He stood, fists white, chest heaving.
Stop. I didn't bring this for a fight. I brought it to return what Carolyn stole from me. The truth.
Carolyn collapsed into her chair, folding like a puppet with cut strings. She wouldn't look at Dennis. Robert stayed motionless, but a tremor ran through him. The silence around him was heavier than any shout. The garden held its breath. The family was now a courtroom, and Christine was judge and witness. She had not raised her voice. The paper had screamed for her. The garden shattered. Voices overlapped, shouts, gasps, a cousin pushing back from the table.
She's lying. Those papers are forged. Christine always resented us.
Christine didn't flinch. Her expression was museum marble, still, ancient, and unbreakable. Christine, is this real? Are you really my sister by blood? Robert saw his chance. He stood, silverware clattering, and tried to edge toward the gate. Sarah's husband blocked his path. Carolyn's screams grew shrill, repeating the word adopted like it could still protect her. No one believed it. Christine let the noise crest. Then she reached for her leather bag with deliberate grace. She turned her back to the wreckage and began walking toward the garden gate. No one stopped her. The power had shifted. She wasn't fleeing. She was leaving them to their ruin. The envelope lay open on the table. The truth spilled out like wine from a broken bottle. From the chaos, Dennis's voice tore through, raw with decades of blindness. Christine. She halted on the garden path, her silhouette still, but she didn't turn around. Instead, she lifted her voice, steady and clear, for the whole assembly to hear.
I was never adopted. I was never the outsider. The only gift I ever owed you was the truth. Happy anniversary.
The words hung like a verdict. A dozen faces stared, paralyzed. Carolyn's jaw hung open. Dennis stood frozen. Christine didn't wait for a response. She walked away through the gate. Her heels clicked on the stone path, each step a nail in the coffin of their deception. At the curb, her car waited. She reached for the door handle. Her hand closed around it, the same hand that had held the envelope steady 30 minutes earlier. She slid behind the wheel, started the engine, and drove away. The truth delivered, and the garden fading to nothing in the rear view. A mile from the garden, rain began to dot the windshield. Each drop broke the silence she had been carrying.
I thought I'd feel guilt. All I feel is air in my lungs. Finally.
Her eyes burned. A tear traced her cheek, then another, unstoppable, mixing with the rain's shadows.
No more adopted. No more outsider. No more earning what they gave Brandon for free.
A sob cracked through, but it was chased by a laugh, a sharp, surprised sound that filled the car.
I'm Christine, biological daughter of Dennis and Carolyn. And I'm nobody's lie anymore.
The highway opened ahead, taillights streaking into red lines, the city indifferent to what had just cracked open.
I feel hollow, but for the first time, the hollow is mine to hold.
Rainwater slid sideways across the glass, distorting the world outside. Inside, she could see clearly for the first time.
I gave them the only gift I ever owed them, the truth, and it was enough.
Christine parked and walked into her apartment, the silence folding around her like a cool sheet. She tossed her keys into the bowl by the door and flicked a lamp on. The envelope slid from her bag. It was empty now, a hollow paper shell that had carried a grenade. She set it on the kitchen table. In the hallway mirror, her reflection stopped her. She looked the same, but the label was gone.
No more adopted. Just me.
She poured a glass of wine and switched off the lights, letting the dark settle around her.
Brandon, I hope you understand someday. You deserved a truth that wasn't a cage.
Guilt tried to rise, but she pushed it back. She had not lied. She had only exposed it. The envelope sat on the table, harmless now. A piece of trash that had rewritten a family. She exhaled. The night stretched ahead, empty and full at the same time, and it was hers. 3 months after the reunion, Christine's phone buzzed on her office desk. The caller ID read, Dennis.
His name. After months of radio silence, my thumb hovered over the answer button.
She swiped and lifted the phone to her ear. A rough exhale filled the speaker.
Christine, I'm so sorry. You are my daughter. I'm so sorry.
Christine closed her eyes. A small, sad smile pulled at the corner of her mouth.
I filed for divorce. I want to know you, the real you, not the lie.
30 years I waited for him to say those words. Now they landed like stones in water. I don't know if I can trust you yet, Dennis, but I'm listening.
The line hummed with silence and possibility. She hadn't hung up.
He wants to know me after all this time. Maybe there's something worth saving.
The conversation deepened. Dennis admitted he had always suspected something was off, but let himself be convinced because it was easier.
I chose the comfortable lie over you, and I'll never forgive myself. Can you ever forgive me?
Forgiveness isn't a switch, but I'm willing to try to know you, not as my adoptive father, but as my real one.
Will you meet me? Just coffee.
Next Saturday. I'll send the address.
The line clicked quiet. Christine set the phone down and looked at the childhood photo pinned to her corkboard.
The girl in that picture never got to call him Dad. Maybe I can give her that, 1 cup at a time.
She didn't know if healing was possible, but for the first time, she was willing to find out. Saturday sat on the horizon, small and uncertain, but real. Christine spotted Dennis on the bench first, shoulders hunched against the autumn chill, a paper cup trembling in his hand. She sat, leaving a foot of wood between them. The silence was heavy, but neither ran. Dennis turned to look at her, and she saw the months of grief etched into his face. His hand moved across the wood and covered hers, old skin over young, the first true touch in 30 years. They didn't speak. The sunlight broke through the leaves and covered them like a fragile blanket. The weight of 30 years sat with them, but it didn't separate them anymore.
I spent my whole life being told I didn't belong, but the truth gave me back more than just a name.
She squeezed his hand, just once, light as a pulse. He didn't let go. The camera pulled back, 2 figures small against the endless park. A new page turned but unwritten.
I am Christine, his daughter, and for the first time, that's enough.